Welcome to PPFM's Storytime, a proper prepper FM production. Our selective short and long stories are here to enlighten your evenings or darken your mood. We do our best to fulfil both for you. So crack that tin or pour that brew. There's nothing left for you to do. Listen in and crack a smile and stay with us for a short while.
Evening survivors. It's Davey again, your guide through whatever fresh hell we're broadcasting tonight. Welcome back to PPFM Storytime, home of dark humour, empty kettles, and questionable life choices. Tonight we've got the second part of Not Another Bloody Alien Invasion, if you got over part 1, that is. This bit we're calling Convergence, because apparently still running and swearing didn't test well with marketing. If you missed part 1, tough luck. It's the end of the world, not Netflix. Grab a drink, tighten your tinfoil hat, and settle in for another 90 minutes of British survival, sarcasm, and several words Ofcom would rather I didn't say. This is PPFM Storytime, because even during an alien apocalypse, somebody's got to fill the airtime. Quick refresher before you start pretending you remember any of this. Last week, 4 ordinary Brits, a prepper, a firefighter, a paramedic, and a copper, managed not to die for 7 days while the rest of the country turned into a light show. This week, they're still trudging north toward Fylingdales, the radar base on the moors where Hope supposedly brews next to the tea urn. The aliens are still floating about, humming like bad electrics, and the government still hiding behind the sofa. Our narrator, the historian, is still being his charmingly miserable self. Think Attenborough if he'd stopped giving a toss. Expect more proper survival hacks, more gallows humour, and maybe, just maybe, a bit of optimism, though don't hold your breath. Right, enough from me. Here's the historian with part 2. Convergence.
Not Another Bloody Alien Invasion. Part 1. Convergence. Opening the second week. The first week was panic. The second week was survival. If Britain had been a polite queue at the end of the world, by now it was the last 4 people still standing, pretending not to notice the doors had closed. The aliens weren't invaders anymore. They were scenery. The hum rolled across hills like weather. Towns flickered blue at night like faulty fairy lights. No one waited for orders now. The government had gone to voicemail. The army was somewhere between myth and geography, but 4 people kept moving north. 4 little knots of civilization swearing at the sky. Section 1, Arthur Artie Briggs, prepper. Arthur had lost his hill, his smugness, and 2 toenails. What he hadn't lost was purpose. He followed rivers because rivers flow to civilization, or at least to taps. His pack was lighter now. That happens when reality audits your priorities. The tins went first, too heavy. He'd learned to trap instead. Snares made from paracord, a slingshot for when luck fancied a laugh, and the knowledge that hunger kills manners long before it kills you. Water wasn't a problem. Britain leaks. He rigged a small solar still from a sheet of plastic, a bottle, and a bit of optimism. Drip, collect, boil. He logged each method in his notebook, half scientist, half lunatic. If civilization ever came back, they'd find a field manual written in sarcasm and mud. The roads were graveyards for priorities. SUVs rusted beside shopping trolleys. He passed one with a note under the wiper that said, "Back soon." He laughed, then stopped, then kept walking. By the time he reached the Dales, the sky had cleared just enough for him to see a glow on the horizon. Not sunrise, not fire, something steady. He wrote Fylingdales maybe and underlined it. Then he wrote Hope with a question mark and drew a line through it. He didn't like the idea of jinxes. That night he built a fire in a hollow and warmed his hands over beans. He whispered to nobody, still standing, still stupid, and allowed himself the smallest grin. Section 2, Davey McBride, firefighter. Davey was heading south, chasing the hum like a man stalking an argument. He'd left Glasgow with a backpack sprayer and a hangover, both refilled daily with whatever water he could bully out of gutters. He didn't call it survival, he called it a long commute. He scavenged kit as he went: a hose reel, an old leaf blower motor, enough copper pipe to terrify an electrician. By day 9 he built the Mark III, part water cannon, part flamethrower, entirely against regulations that no longer existed. He carried it like a promise. The roads were empty, the villages quieter than shame. Now and then he saw the blue glow through the mist, the aliens moving like storm fronts that had opinions. He didn't look too long. Curiosity is how you get in the news, and the news was gone. At a half-collapsed pub, he found a dog. Small, scruffy, determined, like himself. It followed him, uninvited but loyal. He named it Hose. Hose never judged him, which made it the best partner he'd ever had. When he met the couple with the umbrella, he almost cried. Humans, loud ones. They argued about everything: directions, weather, theology of snacks. He let them because noise meant life. He told them about Fylingdales. They didn't know what it was. He said somewhere that might have a kettle. That was enough. They moved east together, forming a strange parade. A firefighter, a bickering couple, and a terrier that thought he was staff. At night, Davey taught them small things: how to purify water with charcoal, how to make smoke smell less like panic, how to laugh in shifts so the dark didn't get ideas. He didn't say it, but he was proud of them. Not heroes, just people who hadn't quit yet. Section 3, Sheila Patel, paramedic. Sheila had been calling it the second shift. She'd given up on sleep. It was easier to stay upright when you were angry. Her group from Manchester was smaller now. One dead, one missing, one singing out of habit. The silence after the singing stopped was worse than the sound. She'd turned her pack into a mobile clinic. Painkillers, bandages, tools she could sterilize over a campfire. A notebook filled with names she'd treated and lost. She called it the Register because memorial was too sentimental. She worked in short bursts: patch, move, patch, move. Her hacks were professional this time: boiled salt water for irrigation, pressure dressings from folded t-shirts, sutures tied with precision that came from too many 12-hour shifts in A&E. No nonsense, no sympathy. When someone asked if it was going to hurt, she'd reply, "Not for me." By day 12, she'd developed a system: find shelter with plumbing. A sink, a drain, a way to wash hands. Civilization begins and ends with hygiene. One evening, she found a petrol station still standing. Inside, the shelves were empty, except for bottled water and a rack of sunglasses. She took both, because medicine heals, but attitude helps. She looked north through those lenses and muttered, "If this Fylingdales place doesn't have a kettle, I'm burning it down." Section 4, Colin Price, police constable. Colin Price had become a one-man institution. His convoy stretched to 7 by now. A teacher, a lorry driver, 2 kids, and the lad he'd promoted to rear scout. They looked to him for orders, which terrified him, so he gave them tasks instead. He'd ditched the uniform jacket, but kept the high-vis. Symbolism matters. He'd found that saying "keep left" in a steady tone was enough to make people believe the road itself still obeyed rules. He'd also learned proper survival: water purification tablets from a pharmacy raid, rationing to exact grams per day. night patrols with red filter torches to preserve night vision. He didn't think of it as soldiering. He thought of it as policing the apocalypse for breaches of common sense. He still kept to the notebook. Every night he logged events, names, supplies, sightings. He'd even drawn a small sketch of one of the alien pods, annotated like a crime scene. When the ink ran out, he carved dates into the cover with a penknife. You can't arrest an apocalypse, but you can document it. At Ludlow, he set up a temporary camp in a barn. He put cones at the door because habit is cheaper than therapy. Someone thanked him for it, said the cones made them feel safe. He didn't have the heart to explain that safety was mostly psychology and decent footwear. That night, the teacher asked, "Do you really think Fylingdales is real?" Colin said, "If it isn't, I'll file a report." Interlude. The threads draw together. History doesn't converge neatly. It tangles, snags, loops back on itself like string round a chair leg. But sometimes improbably, it lines up. 4 paths across a broken country, all heading for one dot on the map. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe it's just that hope, like water, follows the same routes downhill. Section 5. The Arrivals. Arthur saw the domes first, white against the moor, bright as lies. He almost laughed. He almost cried. He settled for breathing. He walked to the fence with a cricket bat and a grin. Voices shouted from inside, survivors, wary, armed. He raised the bat like a flag. "Just me," he called, "and I hope you've got the kettle on." Inside the compound were remnants of order, tarps, fires, people who'd forgotten what small talk was. He joined without ceremony. He'd never been much of a joiner, but blisters had taught him humility. Davey arrived 2 days later, dragging the umbrella couple and Jose the dog. When he saw the domes, he said, "Nice golf course," and kept walking. When he saw Arthur, he grinned. "Well, bugger me, it's the bean guy." Arthur replied, "And you must be the fire hazard." They shook hands and laughed like men who'd found a punchline worth keeping. Sheila reached the gate next, sunglasses cracked, jacket bloodstained, eyes alive. She saw the 2 idiots talking and said, "If either of you are contagious, I'm leaving." They weren't. She stayed. Colin came last, convoy intact. He walked up to the fence, nodded at the guards and said, "Constable Price, arriving northbound. Cones available upon request." Somebody laughed. It sounded almost human again. Closing. The beginning of something else. So that's how they met. Not heroes, not soldiers, just 4 examples of British stubbornness wrapped in sarcasm and exhaustion. They stood on a moor, under 3 white domes humming quietly, wondering what to do next. The aliens hadn't gone. The hum was still there, distant but patient. But for the first time in 2 weeks, they weren't alone, and in a world that had forgotten how to function, that counted as a win. If you're listening to this broadcast from what's left of the archives, here's what you should write down. The end of the world is rarely tidy. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or glory. It arrives with rain, blisters, swearing, and the faint hope of a working kettle. And if you find one, pour 2 cups. Someone's on their way.
And there we go. That's Convergence. The second helping of not another bloody alien invasion. Everyone's made it to Fylingdales. The tea's gone cold, and somehow Britain's still being weird about it. You've been listening to PPFM Storytime, proudly produced by people who should probably be supervised. Tonight's broadcast was sponsored by Nigel's post-apocalyptic DIY and dog training centre. Because when civilization collapses, you still want a decent haircut and a sharpened shovel and a dog that will bring you a pint of lager and a bag of crisp on command. And if you enjoyed that, or even if you didn't but can't find the remote, check out the rest of the PPFM Storytime audiobooks, or swing by PPFM or Armageddon's Runway for more sarcasm, dark British humour and emotional damage disguised as entertainment. I'm Davey, signing off before the generator runs out again. Stay weird, stay alive, and if the sky starts humming, tell it to sod off for me. Night, folks.